Redditors who have actually won a lifetime supply of something. What was the supply you won and how long did it actually last? I won free full body massages for life, which basically just translates to 2 massages a week. It was really good. I got addicted. I knew people who worked there and I got to experiment with all of them to see which were the best. Ended up fluctuating between 3 different staff towards the end. They would even train new staff on me for free because I spent so much time over there. Those training massages never cost me anything either or counted toward my 2 free massages a week. When the place closed down, I realized how expensive massages were. I haven't had one in ages and I miss it so bad. Massages for life is definitely something I can get behind. There's some that's like, oh, you get this kind of food for life or whatever. And it's like, yeah, you're gonna get sick of it eventually. Like, cool, food for life, but also you are gonna get sick of it. Massages, though, I can't imagine getting sick of those. Story 2. When I was a kid 30 years ago, my dad said he'd won free pizza coupons, I think it was Domino's, and he had a massive stack of these little business cards, each for a free large pizza. My dad said we had to be careful using them though, so we would only use them occasionally, and I remember my dad sometimes making me order the pizza and answer the door to get the free pizza, even though I was only like 9. Looking back, my dad worked for a commercial printing company and was not exactly an upstanding citizen. I'm pretty sure he didn't win those cards. Well, you didn't win them, but you did win a bit. I'm sure Domino's wasn't missing out too bad. Story 3. This happened in the late 90s. A local bar ran a wet t-shirt contest where the girl who won would win free lifetime of bar drinks at the bar. They also had cash prizes for 2nd and 3rd place. I don't remember how much, but it was a lot at the time. The result was a packed bar. Tons of girls entered and tons of guys spent money. My friend's girlfriend at the time, now his wife, won 1st place. She was stoked. He was excited. Within a couple of weeks, the building was condemned and torn down. Turns out the owners of the bar knew that the building was going to be condemned and just wanted to have one last party. Hey, she won the contest and a husband. I'm sure that they were already on track before that, but you never know. That does make sense though. Free drinks at a bar would add up over time. Probably wouldn't be worth it for the bar. Story 4. As a consolation prize for losing on a TV game show, I was given a popcorn popper, as well as a little girl's bicycle and a lifetime supply of Dinty Moore beef stew. I gave the popcorn popper as a Christmas present and sold the bike. When the beef stew arrived, it was 1 case of 12 cans. After trying the first one, I realized, yeah, the other 11 would indeed last me a lifetime. Story 5. Ryanair, a European budget airline, awarded its millionth passenger free flights for life. After 9 years, they renegotiated the deal, so she took them to court. The judge awarded her 60,000 euros to buy her own flights. Her legal costs were more than 3 times that, but Ryanair had to pay those as well. Given the relatively low cost of Ryanair flights, 60,000 euros probably buys her at least 6 flights a year for the next 50 years. Story 6. When I bought my bicycle, the shop policy was that any new bike purchased included free tune-ups for life. Personally, I thought this was a great business move, because it got me back in the store regularly to redeem my tune-ups, and kept my bike running smoothly, which kept me as an active cyclist. Active cyclist equals active customer. And I also would regularly buy parts/service beyond the tune-up when I was there, which I was happy to do since I had a good relationship with the shop through this free tune-up deal. When the shop changed owners, they discontinued the tune-ups, even for people like me who had purchased their bike under these terms. I don't go there anymore. Story 7. I won a lifetime of free oil changes for my car. It was during a sale the dealership was having where you had to take a photo with your pet, and the person who resembled their pet the most won. I don't know if I should feel happy or concerned about that one. What they did fail to mention is that it was lifetime oil changes for the vehicle I had, and I couldn't transfer it to anyone else. So when my dad took over my car loan, they dropped that little tidbit of info on us. Only really lasted me for about 2 oil changes. Well, they didn't lie. They didn't really tell you the whole truth, but they didn't lie. Scummy business move for sure, but it kinda makes sense. They're a car dealership. Story 8. I took my kids to a pizza buffet when they received a free kids meal coupon for good grades. The cashier mistakenly charged us for the meals. When the manager came out to correct the transaction, I said he could just return the coupon and not worry about it. He gave us an entire stack, about 50 of unused coupons that were attached together like a checkbook. We got free kids meals until they obviously reached the age limit. Now, when I hear about companies doing stuff like this, I have to wonder what their markups are. Like, how much money are you making per kids meal to be able to give away 50 of them for free? Story 9. My uncle gets free Ben & Jerry's for life. He's been friends with the actual Ben & Jerry's since before they opened the shop. He has a card that says free ice cream for life on it, and he can get pints or cones at any scoop shop, at least locally. He also gets decks of free pint coupons that he can use at grocery stores and gas stations. When Unilever bought them out, they tried to buy back all the free ice cream for life cards. I guess it was a fairly generous offer because my uncle is one of only a few that chose to keep the card. Story 10. Back in 1977, when I was 13 years old, I won a contest for a lifetime supply of models from Revel. A semi-truck pulled up to our house in a very quiet suburban neighborhood and proceeded to unload 4 pallets of plastic models in the driveway. There were hundreds of them, probably one of everything they offered in their catalog at the time. I kept about 2 dozen, which kept me busy for about a year or so. My father helped by finding a local retail hobby store to buy the rest of them at a very favorable price, so we could just get rid of them. He put the money into US savings bonds for me, which I cashed out many years later to use for a down payment on my first new car. I don't know what kind of models Revel makes, I've never heard of them before, but a lifetime supply of models just doesn't make any sense to me. Like, why call it a lifetime supply? Just say a lot, because you don't need models for life. I don't get it. Anyway, story 11. I won a lifetime supply of AA and AAA batteries from a major Canadian tech retailer about 20 years ago. Thing is, batteries last a long time, and there isn't really much I use batteries for. Hypothetically, I could start a black market battery business by just getting my free batteries and selling them to people in need, but it's not worth the time. Even getting the batteries isn't worth the time. I have to get them to type in my name into their system, and there's a note by my name indicating I get free batteries because I won a contest 20 years ago. And then they run and get their manager to look at it because it looks, suspicious. And the manager looks at it and then asks me questions, and they finally relent and give me my free batteries. Story 12. Not necessarily won, but I bought a lifetime membership at one of my favorite nightclubs/concert venues early in the pandemic. They released a limited amount as a COVID fundraiser, and they went fast, and will likely never do something like that again. So it feels a bit like I won. Came with free entry, +1, coat check, and 2 drink tickets at every event at the venue, even sold out ones, for life. Several, a couple, years out, I've gotten more value than the cost. I'm still on the list for every event, and most of the staff there know me, partly because I'm there a lot and also because I tip well on those drink tickets. I'll often just drop by for random events/artists I'd never heard of, or dip in for half an hour at a sold-out event with a $50 door cover just to say hello to some friends. I imagine someday the venue will close up shop and my lifetime membership will close with it. Story 13. My mom almost ate the white M&M they promoted like 25 years ago. If you find it, send it in, you get a lifetime supply of M&Ms. They sent us a voucher pack that almost no store would take, but we still managed to make it through the lifetime supply in about 1 month. Granted, 8 siblings. Probably for the best, though. Guaranteed that some business exec or whatever was like, oh, they'll just eat the winning M&M. We won't have to pay out over half these things. It's a huge win. And they're probably right. Story 14. When I was a kid, I won a contest online which included a lifetime supply of Hubba Bubba bubble tape. I don't remember the exact amount, but I think it was about a dozen boxes of gum. They also sent me a small boombox and hockey jersey with the Hubba Bubba logo on it. I got sick of it pretty quickly, and it had a shelf life. A friend and I wound up using all of it for a school project where we had to make a model of the town from the book, The Outsiders. We made the entire model out of gum, and it was disgusting. Our jaws got sore from chewing all the gum, so we wound up dipping it in water instead. Our teacher docked us points for creativity. 20 years later, and I'm still pretty mad about that. Story 15. I once worked a job that had me purchase Subway sandwiches for mobile working crews and let me keep the tickets, where you could fill the card up for free sandwiches. All the tickets were numbered and purchases valid. After 2 years, I had enough tickets and receipts to redeem multiple sandwiches daily for at least 6 months if I wanted to, and still accruing more. I started filling in the cards and giving them to friends to eat a free lunch. Within 1 month, my friends and I were banned from every Subway in a 5-mile radius in Los Angeles. They put our pictures up on the wall and refused to honor the stamps no matter who brought them in. Within another 2 years, Subway corporate canceled the stamps altogether, and no one would accept them. I couldn't even give them away to a food bank or the homeless to get a free sandwich. Thanks, Subway. So they know that to fill those cards up you still had to buy the sandwiches, right? You didn't cheat anything, OP. Subway is just like, too many people are actually just using the cards and not losing them. Too many people in this case meaning exactly you, I guess. Anyway, stupid by them. They should have just honored it. Story 16. My parents did twice in a relatively short period of time. The first was at a fair when I was in high school. They advertised it as a lifetime supply of ice cream sandwiches. They ended up giving us 100 boxes all at once, right there on a warm July day. My mom was only able to collect at the end of the day, so there weren't even that many people to hand them out to. We got home and had about 60 left after giving away as much as possible and throwing out what didn't fit in our freezer. I played lots of sports, so I ate a lot, and my parents just said I could eat as much as I wanted anytime I wanted. I went through 60 boxes in a couple of months. That was a good time, but not so much for my weight. The second was when they bought an expensive microwave about a year later and won a 5-year supply of microwave popcorn. Basically, the same thing happened. We got a huge box with like 200 packages and I was told to eat as much as I wanted. After living in a house that smelled like popcorn for a few weeks, my parents just threw the rest in the garbage. Story 17. I won a year of free chula. It's a fast casual Indian restaurant. They give a year of free food via a coupon book with 52 cards for free meals to the first 100 customers at any location. I saw that the line was short on the way to work and called everyone in the office to get in line. We had all our business meetings at Chula for a year, with the company paying for meals when people ran out of coupons, or if they didn't have them or we hired anyone new. The food was perfect because if you ate vegan, paleo, gluten-free, or any combination, there was something on the menu you could eat. We still use them for company catering because everyone likes the options. Hey, sounds like this promo worked out perfectly. It's exactly what a promo should be. Gets people in the door, gets them coming back. Story 18. My father played a game on teletext back in the days and won a lifetime supply of some beer. However, they cheated him and only sent him a party keg. My dad was a programmer, so he wrote a program which played cards for him on teletext. If the program was about to lose because of bad cards, it quit the channel and logged in again automatically for the next run. The program was playing day and night, and after some weeks he had won several TV sets, video cameras, cruises, you name it. Eventually, the organizer of the game locked my father out, which was illegal. So he sued the company which organized the game and reached an agreement. They paid him an amount of about $10,000 and he never played again. So instead of a lifetime supply of beer, he got a lot of stuff. And this is why I, as a teenager, had my own video camera, which at this time was so expensive that people had to lease them. Story 19. This wasn't a win, but a glitch that gave my mom free parking at meters for about 12 years. Where I live, in a big city, there's no free parking anywhere unless it's store-owned. So back in the early 2000s, they started adding a card reader to the old-school coin parking meters, and to use them, you would purchase the card from the city and then load funds onto the card. The benefit of this card was that you could put more time onto the meter than you thought you needed, and when you got back to your car, if there was still time left, you could insert the card and the extra time would get loaded back. This was great because you could always put more than enough time and never have to go back to top it off. The meters had a little screen that would tell you the balance of your card when you first inserted it. One day, my mother had extra time on her meter and put the card in to get back the difference. The next time she parked her car at a meter and put her card in, it showed she had a $45,000 balance. The machine had glitched the last time it put time back on her card and gave her that insane balance. Took her a while to believe that it would actually keep on working, but 6 months later when her actual balance would have been for sure spent, it still showed the ridiculous number and would deduct the correct amount of money she would spend on the meter off her crazy balance. For the next 12 years or so, the city kept that system in place. They had added kiosks to pay during that time, but still had the individual meters with the card readers until they eventually removed all of the meters and now everything is pay by app. During that time, while they were still around, my mom would give her card to friends and family to park when they needed it. And every time she would park, she would put like an extra 8 hours of credit onto the machines, and when she would leave, if she saw a car getting ready to park, she would let them know to park in her spot once she pulled out, because it had free time. I also count this as a win, OP. Just a win from no contest in particular, just the roulette wheel of life. Or I guess parking systems, but life. Really nice to hear that your mom paid it forward too. That's pretty awesome. I know I would love if I had my parking paid. Even though most of the time it's not a huge amount of money, it still feels the worst to pay it. Don't know why. Story 20. Not for life, but my dad won free pizza for a year at a silent auction. So technically, I guess he paid like $200 for it. It gave us one large pizza every week for an entire year. Of course, we couldn't eat pizza every single week, so occasionally my dad would ask them to par-bake them and then would freeze them. Then we would have them as needed, occasionally getting them fresh when we wanted. I was a kid and honestly, it rocked. Can't imagine doing it over a year though. Edit. Guys, we probably ate the pizza every single week for about 6 months straight. After a while, you do start to get sick of it, especially since it's the same type from the same place. However, the deal was use it or lose it, so if we wanted to skip a week, it didn't double to the next. When everyone started to get sick of it, my dad would have them partially bake it, then freeze and cook at a later date. Frozen was better than no pizza at all, and with 3 kids in the house, it was perfect to have a bunch of pizzas for when we all had friends over. Free pizza is best pizza. Story 21. Late to the party here, but when I was a little kid, my family and I happened to move to a new city. And the first or second night there, we decided to try a new Chinese restaurant nearby. We didn't realize it was the inaugural evening, but there also weren't very many customers. Yet the owner of the place waited on us himself, and he was very sweet and friendly. He had just immigrated from China recently. He gave my family a free voucher to eat there for life, since we were one of the few people to actually show up at all that night. I remember it was a big golden ticket like Willy Wonka. Sadly, the restaurant closed within a year. I always wonder how he's doing. My family was very poor back then, and we would go there every month, which felt special. I'm sure it wasn't the greatest Chinese food in the world, but I still remember how the orange chicken tasted. Not a lot of people showing up for an inaugural evening does kind of suck for a restaurant. That being said, I don't know if I approve of the business decision of looking at this and being like, not a lot of people showed up. Let's give the people who did free food for life. Surely that will help our money situation. It closed within a year, so who knows what went wrong, but something had to. Story 22. My mom and dad won a lifetime supply of Cool Whip in 1968 on Let's Make a Deal. I was only 4 at the time, so I somehow thought that Cool Whip and Tootsie Rolls, for another reason, were just free and plentiful. I'm not sure how long it actually lasted. I think we just got tired of it. Addendum. Around the same time as the Let's Make a Deal windfall, where my parents also won a car, my dad noticed a truck he was following had smoke coming out of the back. He flagged the driver down and helped him put out a small fire smoldering in his cargo, which turned out to be a truckload of Tootsie Rolls. The driver gave my dad all the fire-damaged cases, which resulted in us having basically an endless supply. Hence the reason I thought both Tootsie Rolls and Cool Whip were like water when I was a kid. OP, for your sake, I hope you had a good dentist. That's all I'll say. Story 23. Before I was born, my father won a lifetime supply of free, chic, disposable razors. Growing up, I saw them all the time, and even now, 30 plus years later, he still has a full box of them in the garage. Unfortunately, the quality of the razors is pretty awful, and my father has always had trouble with the nicks and cuts. I've tried to introduce him to better razors, like ones that feature a better cartridge, but he's too stubborn to make the switch. Story 24. 10 years ago, I stayed up late with a group of friends doing LSD. 5 a.m. comes around and we realize we're pretty hungover and hungry, so we decide to drive down the road to the nearest gas station for snacks. When I pull in, I see the McDonald's they put in the gas station was open. Go to order and the cashier said, "This is our first day open and we're giving out free Big Macs for a year to the first 10 customers. It was so confusing at first, but we managed to be one of the first customers. So I got a little punch-out card for Big Macs and ended up using that crap every day for a couple months. Until I was sick of McDonald's. Thank you, Mickey D's, for the hangover food. Story 25. My hometown has a minor league baseball team. I won a year's supply of Pepsi from beating a mascot in a race at the ballpark when I was 7. I didn't even realize the prize was Pepsi until I won. I just wanted to meet the mascot, Scout. I hated soda as a kid. So when Scout handed me my first 6-pack of Pepsi as my prize, I said, "Well, this'll last me the whole year because I won't drink it." And my parents forfeited my prize to the second place kid. The park gave me a t-shirt instead and a baseball frame for the picture I got with the mascot. So I think I came out on top. Story 26. My mother won a drawing for Scott Paper Products. It was in the 70s, so I can't remember if it was supposed to be a year's worth or a lifetime supply. We got 2 giant flats of tissues and paper towels and toilet paper and maybe some other stuff. It really did last a long time. It was funny going down to the basement to get a box of tissues from basically a mountain of boxes. She was a very lucky person and used to win stuff all the time. Door prizes, party stuff, whatever she entered a draw for. She was a lot more likely to win than you would expect. Too bad she never bought lottery tickets because it was gambling and therefore sinful. I feel like we all know that one person who's just too lucky with things like that, and we never know why. And really, there's no reason why. They're just, I don't know, blessed by the odds. I've always been a little jealous of my friend like that. At the same time, I would not use half the stuff they win. Like, I'm not gonna go to this random concert, or I don't need lifetime supply of tissues anyway. Do you guys have people like that are just super lucky? What have they won? Let me know in the comments. And if you've made it this far, I have to assume you liked the video. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day or night wherever you are, and I'll see you in the next one.